And we'll be back in a minute after this video talking about breaking silos, how energy sectors are uniting.
Consumer interest in renewable energy is at a tipping point. In fact, 2022 was the first time that interest in EVs and solar rooftop panels, both of which require significant investment, was at the same level as interest in lower-cost items such as smart thermostats. 89% of consumers say they are interested in renewables and self-generation to reduce reliance on fossil fuels and energy providers. Can manufacturers leverage sector coupling and new technology to empower end users to achieve this? If so, how? And how can we overcome supply chain issues and better integration between players? Why are holistic solutions so important, and how can they be implemented? Find out how manufacturers can continue to adapt to these changing attitudes in our next panel, Breaking Silos, Energy Sectors Unite.
Welcome back, and we're on to the next session where we're talking about breaking down silos. Manufacturers are becoming solution providers, mobility providers are entering the energy space, and consumers are rapidly changing. How can energy players navigate these changes and guarantee sustainable products? Well, to find that out, we have Fischer, who is Deputy General Manager at Honda R&D Europe. After his study of mechanical and process engineering at the Technical University of Darmstadt, Michael joined Honda R&D Europe in 2006, working in powertrain technology research. At Honda, he served as section leader and as manager of the automobile powertrain department, while also completing his PhD in artificial neural networks for engine control. Michael, thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you very much. Happy to be here.
And joining him, we have Jannik Schall, co-founder and chief product officer at 1,5 Grad or 1,5 degrees. Jannik got his start in sustainability while working at Tesla, where he first came into contact with topics like e-mobility and where electricity comes from and whether you can produce it yourself. He then moved on to Sonnen, where he further expanded his expertise in climate protection technology, from internationalization to the construction of virtual power plants. Jannik, welcome back.
Thank you. Great to be here.
And alongside him, we have Ralf, Elias, CPO and Executive Vice President at Maxeon Solar Technologies. With over 25 years of experience, Ralf is a seasoned executive with a holistic view of telecommunication, clean energy, consumer, commercial, hardware, and digital products and services. At Maxeon, he leads strategy and execution to expand the product offering to include energy storage, EV charging, energy financing, and more. Ralf, thank you for being here today.
Oops. Nice to meet you, Greta. Looking forward.
Thank you. And joining him, we also have Daniel Strömer from SMA Technology. And Daniel, I'm sorry, my introduction for you has been taken away. So if you could just maybe introduce yourself for a sentence, that would be great.
Okay, don't worry. Thank you very much, Greta. Yeah, so my name is Daniel Strömer. I'm leading the call we call the business strategy within the SMA segment home. Responsible here for business development and strategic marketing. Yeah, I've worked my entire life in the PV industry since 2006. So yeah, I'm happy to be here and to be part of this discussion.
Thanks very much, Daniel. Thank you for jumping in there. So let's dive straight into the questions. Michael, can you tell us what sort of changes did you see in the industry that made you want to shift from simply manufacturing and selling products to more holistic solutions?
Well, there are quite a couple of them. I would start with some changes we can see in society. So we can see a strong shift from ownership to pay-per-use or subscription models, primarily in other businesses like television, like mobile phones, and so on and so forth. But we can also envision something like this maybe in the automobile industry, and certainly we want to be prepared for it. But there are other changes as well, like sustainability. I mean, it has always been our ambition to provide environmental friendly products, but this will actually gain momentum. And what will be a quite new topic, but very important one, is to include circular economy and not just leave the product at the customer, but keep responsibility from cradle to grave. When we talk about electromobility, what is very important for us is that we don't just want to give the car to the customer. We also want to make sure that the customer can get 100% green electricity, not on paper, but in reality. And this is why we also have to take care for this area. And last but not least, it's about user experience. We will not provide products. We want to provide experience. And this means in terms of EV to provide a seamless charging and using experience. And what we try to do is to add some new benefits to it.
Thanks, Michael. And Daniel, have you seen a similar shift in the PV industry with SMR? Obviously, 40 years of experience, it's shifted a little bit. Can you tell us about that and maybe compare if it's similar insights to what Michael just said?
Yeah, so definitely, I see definitely the trends like he described regarding sustainability. Also, the topic, of course, what we really see, for example, United States with the IRA. So we have overall the where, how to say, the product will be produced is much more an important role also in regards to this topic of sustainability. So SMA, we really we extend our production capacity here in Kassel and Niestetal in Germany now from 20 to 40 gigawatts because we really believe that this topic also is the topic of the entire value chain. This is where we make the statement and to extend our production capacity here in Germany. But what we also see is the topic of data security. So we definitely see a trend out of the different kind of suppliers that we see in the market that our customers are really taking care, because if we're coming also to the topic of home energy management, the customer are asking themselves, okay, where my data are hosted, how my data are handled. This is something where really SMA spend a lot of effort really for data security and all the entire IoT platform that SMA is running now since over 15 years. It's completely hosted here in Germany. And these are the topics I think definitely in line. And for SMA, it's also not something new, as we are the leading company in regards to home energy management. And we really have experienced this kind of journey, what it means to become from a hardware to really true solution provider for PV, for e-mobility and HVAC. And for this core solution, our Sunny Home Manager is in place, which is at the AI brain, which is truly a great, outstanding success for our company. And in regards to these kind of market dynamics, maybe this is one of my last statements. So really, SMA is also focusing on a big and huge partner network, because we believe that if you see all the changing dynamic market environments, it's not possible to challenge that everything by just one company, by our own. So we are really looking for strong partnerships in that regards.
Thanks, Daniel. And Jannik, can you share some insights of how you think consumer preferences have been changing? What's really important for them now in the e-mobility, energy, heating environment?
Absolutely. I think the market entered a new stage. And so far, especially if we look at solar, but also at EVs, the market has been driven, especially in the early years, by the early adopters. Now, the early adopters have adopted, right? So we're entering the next phase of the market, and we're more and more quickly moving towards a mass market. And the mass market customer has, I think, a completely different set of expectations than the early adopter, right? So I think what has changed is that, and I mean, it has been already mentioned, right? That the consumer is looking for convenient, simple, easy to understand solutions rather than looking at technical components and picking a piece from here and a piece from there. They want somebody who puts it all together and makes it a nice integrated bundle or solution. And I think this is really the biggest change from a consumer perspective. They want it easy and quickly. And the challenge also for companies like us is shifting from just providing technology to optimizing the process of delivering that technology to the customer and really truly making it scalable. And this is what we're working on every day at 1,5.
Thanks, Jannik. And Ralf, would you agree with what we've been talking about of what you see in the PV space, and maybe looking a little bit more to the future? What do you see in the future trends, and what do you think will differentiate successful PV companies in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I completely like what Jannik is saying, and I will say something similar in a second. But I want to talk about two major trends. The one is about solar panel price erosion and the need to push quality, reliability, sustainability, and a clean supply chain. And the other one really is a transformation from a panel company towards a complete solution. By the way, we are mostly known for SunPower. SunPower is our product brand, and Maxeon is a company behind. So let me talk about a trend in solar panels. So what we've seen over the last decade is a huge shift in the way panels differentiate themselves. So the pace of price drop has been tremendous, and really like 12, 13 years ago, the price was $2.80 per watt in 2009. And that really has fallen to like 25 to 15 cents per watt panel technology. So this is important as it means more people can afford solar, so we can democratize. However, a new differentiator of panel technology became more important. And this is really the importance of reliability. So solar panels are long-term purchase for the customer. And in the race to generate the maximum power per panel on day one, some manufacturers are not really thinking about longevity or reliability. And that's where we come in. And it's very important that we protect consumers in the long term. For example, we are giving 40 years product and warranty and power coverage. Now I want to, in line what Jannik said, which I find equally important. So the transformation towards a complete solution, and we are in the middle of that. So I believe the future of solar lies beyond the panel, and the conversation needs to move from the panel into the home to complete solutions, and including home energy management system. So when I went into solar 3 years ago, it was super complex. It was not consumerish at all. I had to piecemeal components, PV, storage, charger. And at the end, nothing was really working together. And I had like distributed experience, 3 different apps. It was really a nightmare, and not only for me as end consumer, but also for the installer. So the journey is full of pain points, and we are trying to solve those pain points and taking them away. And that's why we have created SunPower One, which is an integrated system, storage, solar, EV charging, a super nice experience, which does way more than monitoring. And we have launched it in Australia, and we launched it in 5 markets in Europe, more to come in Europe, and bring that over to the US. So what really counts is that we need to be way more consumerish, and we need to take those pain points away by offering complete energy solutions.
Thank you, Ralf. And Michael, can we go more into the challenges and also the opportunities that arise from the electrification of mobility? How challenging is it to kind of change focus and enter a new market?
It's very challenging indeed. Let me maybe start with one. I would say the fundamental difference is that the refueling of the car is different for EV compared to a combustion engine car. I mean, our customers are used to just go to any fuel station and you can refuel your car, no problem. This is definitely different with an EV. it is more flexible because you can now also charge at home, you can charge at work, so you have more opportunities. But it's also more challenging to make sure it's really compatible with all the charging stations. What about power levels, AC, DC, and so on. So certainly we have to put more attention on the recharging process itself. And the second big challenge is that the cost of the battery is significantly higher than, now let me say, of a fuel tank system in the car. So it is a substantial part of the vehicle cost, and basically EV will always be more expensive than a normal combustion engine car, probably, but we can add benefits to the EV, and then it's becoming a business case for the customer. So maybe I have to pay a little bit more, but I also have additional benefits. I can maybe even earn money while I'm connected with the electrical grid by intelligent charging, by maybe even bidirectional charging. So there are a lot of opportunities. But this is also at the same time a big challenge, because the energy markets are designed from a completely different angle. They are designed from the energy system point of view to ensure the energy supply security. And this means that everything is centered around big and central energy sources and storages. Also, the regulations are made for this kind of energy system. And even worse, every country has completely different energy markets and energy regulations. And when we want to enable electric vehicles to play a supportive role in the energy markets and provide benefits to the EV customers, we need to dramatically change also these regulations and make it possible for the relatively small EV batteries compared to the big energy assets, to make it possible for them to participate in these markets and get monetized for our customers.
Thanks, Michael. And Jannik, we've talked a lot about developing customer-centric solutions, putting the customer in the center and kind of making things easier for them. What are some of the challenges of this, and how can we really make sure that the customer is always the central point?
Yeah, I actually would like to add to one of Michael's point, and I think this is a truly important one. I'm not entirely sure if everybody would agree to your statement that an electric car is necessarily more expensive than a combustion engine car, but that's not the point. Even if we assume your statement is correct, I think the important point you made is that it is becoming more and more about the total cost of ownership over the lifetime of these products and solutions, right? And if I can generate some sort of additional benefit over the course of the lifetime of the product, it's going to reduce its total cost of ownership. And I think this is for all of these products we're discussing here: heat pumps, chargers, EVs, even batteries and solar. That is a tremendously important point, right? And coming back to your question, Greta, sure, there are challenges by creating these solutions, but I think this is it's not so much about the challenges rather than just doing it, right? And yes, there's still a lot to do and a lot of problems to be solved. But I wouldn't focus on the problems too much. Let's just talk about the solutions.
Okay, so tell me about the solutions.
No, I think the solution it truly is to add that value, right? A solution has to deliver more value than just its pieces. And if we look at an energy system in a residential home, for example, I think if you just look at solar, the battery, heat pump, and an EV charger, those are usually operating in silos, right? The charger is charging the car when you plug it in, and the heat pump is is starting to operate when the thermostat says like now is a good time because it's getting cold. And this has to be orchestrated in some way. And I think this is incredibly important to have that centralized control of those assets, manage those assets, and truly kind of, we also see our role for our customers as an asset manager over the lifetime of these products, because we can use them in different ways to make sure that the customer always has access to the cleanest and also the cheapest, by the way, source of electricity. Could be solar, but could also be the energy market, or at some point we could also bid, Michael, the EV's capacity into the frequency market, right? So harness those different revenue streams and create a unbeatable total cost of ownership.
Thanks, Jannik. Very nice to hear. And Ralf, how do you see the competition for manufacturing between Asia, Europe, and North America? Do we need to have independent supply chains in Europe, or should we focus on our core competencies here and cost cutting?
Yeah, we are truly in the middle of this. So I personally believe that it is super important to bring a resilient supply chain back to the European Union or to Germany and bring manufacturing back. However, I believe that for this to happen, there must be the right incentives. So including both OPEX and CAPEX schemes that allow for the industry, for us to properly flourish and make our business case work. When you compare this to the United States, right? The United States has been successfully attracting the industry, providing both a large OPEX subsidy and large barrier to entry. So the combination of both factors is what makes or breaks the decision of committing to such a large investment and building a factory, right? We are talking about billions here. So and where we are, so with our company, with Maxeon SunPower, we are in expansion mode. So we have announced our new factory in the US. It's a 3.5 giga factory, solar cell and panel manufacturing facility in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And it's an exciting time for us to leverage that opportunity, which have risen in the United States. And really the Inflation Reduction Act, also known as IRA, has been really helpful for us. And we certainly like to see something similar in Europe in order to bring production manufacturing back.
Thanks, Ralf. And Daniel, SMA is active in over 20 countries. How do you see these regional differences and maybe this competition between regions?
Yeah, so definitely, Greta, what we see, and I think that is always the point, that we see for all the countries that if you have an increasingly rely on renewable energies, the countries who I would say they are faced the same challenges that we see always, especially if it comes to the electricity grid. So of course, it always depends also from the energy market regulations in each country, that's also for sure. But we see in the home sector also globally, the trend, what we see for self-consumption and flexibility, do what Jannik said. So at the end, so solar is by far the cheapest way to produce power and energy. And this is at the end, so the people would like to have solutions in place where you can charge your car, you can run your heat pump, like we all described, what you said, Jannik, regarding the assets. And this is for us also, to see that the customer is looking for solutions at the end. And this is, I think, for all of us. So if you have a customer, for example, he had a third party from SMA perspective, a third party wall box. The customer has expectation that is working. Also, if he has a third party heat pump in place. And this is why we really believe in, at the end, that interoperability is key. So this is why we, for example, spend a lot of effort to develop an API portfolio, because at the end, as I said, once more, we will not just as a company win this entire energy transition. Therefore, we need all these partners also in that round here that we say we really bring it to an success. And this is, we need to combine to have solutions in place for the customer, which is easy to charge your car from a third party or a heat pump, something like this, because this leads at the end to a really streamlined customer journey. I think this is what we want. And to go there to a customer which has nothing installed, that's always easy. But the question is interoperability. And just to give you one example, as I said, so our sunny home energy, we have incredible numbers what we see in the market this year, and it's simply due to the fact that the time is there that customers looking for such kind of solutions. And this is, of course, depending on development in the different markets on different stages. But at the end, the need is increasing in all the countries, and more or less the trends are, as I said, in regarding to flexibility and energy management demand. It's more or less, if you see it in the long run, it's always the same question.
Thanks, Daniel. And Jannik, how do you see supply chain challenges in Europe? What are some of the biggest barriers at the moment, and how can they be overcome?
I would say that most of the barriers actually went away this year, and the market has shifted extremely quickly from a situation of massive shortages to a situation of, in some cases, even oversupply, right? And I believe, and you already touched a little bit on this, and obviously, especially Daniel but also Ralf know what I'm talking about. There's a massive also political conversation about how can we become more independent of China when it comes to solar, but also power electronics, EVs, basically anything related to energy. I think the good news is still that for renewables, the primary energy source, sun or wind, is always free. So we do not continuously rely on a supplier, like, for example, when it comes to gas, Russia, to keep it going, right, in a sense. But still, I think this is a very sensitive and important subject. And what we're trying to do is obviously try to focus as much as possible on products manufactured in Europe, if possible, or in North America. But on the other hand, we're also sometimes a little bit hesitant, or let's say there's also another side to this. Obviously, we have an interest of having a stable and reliable source of these components, which we urgently need in order to get the energy transition done, right? So what we do not want is any uncertainty, quickly changing, ever-changing regulations and those sorts of things. But at the same time, we need to steadily work on supporting a European supply chain for especially solar, but for all the other things as well.
And Michael, how is this seen at Honda as an Asian car manufacturer with also a big presence in Europe?
Yeah, unfortunately, our presence in Europe could be even better. So we are quite strong in certain markets outside of Europe, just like US, just like Asian market. In Europe, on the motorcycle side, we are actually strong, but not so much on the automobile side. But in general, I think supply chain is, of course, always an issue because of geopolitics and the situations around the world. So the only thing we can do is to be not or to not rely on single suppliers or on single countries. I think this is very important, to be here more flexible, so that if we have a problem in one region of the world or with one company, we have also alternatives. We can quickly react. That's for us maybe the most important part here.
Thanks, Michael. And we've had a question from the audience asking, how do energy players balance profitability with sustainability? Pretty open-ended question there. I guess also the other question is it an either or? Michael, do you want to maybe take the example of an established company of changing?
Yeah, I'm also just asking myself, is it a contradiction or is it a kind of best match between these two? Maybe in some areas it is a contradiction, because typically the cheapest solutions are maybe not the most sustainable solutions. But what we have to do is we have to change our system so then that we can have both at the same time. We want to become, or we want to be, and we have to be sustainable. There's no question about it. But as a company, of course, we have also to be profitable. So I would definitely say there is no either or. We have to do both. There is no way around it.
Jannik, do you want to add anything?
Yes,
Yeah.
I absolutely want to, because I think, and when it comes to energy, and I know that now, Michael, your answer focused more around like what kind of company do, when it also probably comes about materials and production and all of those sorts of things. But when it comes to energy, when we just look at energy, I think the beauty of the transition to renewable energy is that the cleanest power is also the cheapest. And this is for some people, they still believe like, okay, since they built all these windmills, energy prices have just been going up. But exactly the opposite is the case. It's just about when and where electricity is available, right? And this is like, I think this is like something truly exciting, because I also believe that it will lead eventually to a reindustrialization of certain areas. We already see that, for example, in the north of Sweden, where lots of clean energy is available at extremely low prices, right? And this attracts businesses to rebuild manufacturing in Europe. So in that sense, when it comes to energy, clean and cheap are basically the same thing.
Thanks, Jannik. Ralf,
But
do you
if
have
I-
any viewpoint?
Yeah, I do have. So the trade-off between sustainable supply chains and cost, and I have a strong view on that. I think regardless of cost, one must hold itself to the highest standard possible, and this is something you have to fight for. Of course, you have to make money as a company, but to me, this is also a mindset topic. So you really have to hold yourself to the highest standard possible, and have clean and resilient supply chains.
Daniel, would you agree with that?
Yeah, so definitely. So I think the question was, is there how to say that's how to handle both topics? For us, of course, we also made for SMA a kind of evaluation, how to say in general, how we would like to go here in the future. And the result was that I think now it's 2 or 3 years ago, that we said, okay, we give the commitment to make once more to extend our production capacity here in Germany. Yeah? And that definitely, this was exactly based on this decision. We say, okay, there is no way out of it. Yeah? So we can just do both in combination. And of course, that we are say, okay, we are a German-based company, and also with all the components around it. But we say, okay, I think the audience said it already, or my colleagues here. So there is no way out of it. For us, it's also that we spend a lot of huge effort on also challenging ourselves for all the entire value chain in regards to sustainability. And we see that there are also good reasons, because we still have already also customers asking in tenders for the topic of sustainability, because it needs to be something like this. And this is also depending, we see that through all the segments, by the way, we're not just in home. SMA is also covering the C&I segment and the utility large-scale segment as well. And we see this trend in all the segments. And I think there are all good reasons, because there is just one planet.
Thanks, Daniel. And in line with this, Michael, how can we ensure sustainable sourcing of materials? And is it important that we have better transparency over where products are coming from and how sustainable they are?
Before answering this, just one small comment to Jannik. I totally agree that the cleanest energy is also the cheapest energy. Unfortunately, our total energy system is built around the not so clean energy. And the big cost will come with changing our energy distribution system to really make renewables working together with the EVs. And regarding the products and the sourcing, I think here the key point really is using the digital technology and the opportunities we have with this. There is also a lot ongoing on regulatory side. And we believe that something like digital product passports have a quite big potential. We can see this in the battery area with a digital battery passport, but also with other products. And this can serve both. We can show where our products are coming from, but not only towards ministries or regulators, also towards our customers. We just have to make it available for them. And important here is to use highly secure technology. So, for example, we are engaged in different consortia to elaborate in how far blockchain technology as one opportunity can do this for us. From a manufacturer of products in general, I think what we need to do is that we need to include the topic of circular economy in the design of the product. So we have to design the products from the very beginning for the whole life cycles from cradle to grave, and not only for the use case. This has already been done in many aspects, but it's still a lot of potential to improve.
Daniel, would you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it's totally understandable what Michael said. So for me, it's totally clear.
Mm-hmm. And Jannik, obviously in line with this life cycle, we've been talking about the value chain a lot. How are partnerships and ecosystems changing with this? And, you know, how important are partnerships in creating this really streamlined and transparent life cycle of products?
Yeah, obviously incredibly important. And coming back to what we discussed earlier, especially the supply chain for a lot of that technology is very, let's say, hard to trace. So what we have done, for example, is we've partnered up with Wacker, a large German chemical company, and sourced polysilicon, which is one of the most, or the most important raw material for the production of solar panels. Just to make sure that these are sourced from an ethically and also sustainable source. Sure, and I think this is in that sense coming back to the motto of this session. It's like we have to unite, right? We need those partnerships. We need the best companies, the brightest people working on that challenge, and as we discussed before, increasingly also from a Eurocentric approach.
Ralf, would you add anything to that?
No, I think that's pretty spot on. I think we have to all work together. I mean, the market potential is huge, the purpose is huge, and the opportunities are huge. We need to think about open systems, stuff working together, partnerships, and bringing back technology into Europe. So I completely agree with that.
Great, thanks. And we've talked a lot about kind of what we've seen, what trends we've seen in the past, and some of the biggest challenges at the moment. But I want to take the last kind of few minutes left to talk about what you foresee in the future. How do you think consumer changes might continue to evolve? Do we need to predict those changes? And what sort of challenges might we see in the future that we can kind of start addressing now? Daniel, maybe starting with you.
Yeah, I think definitely it's absolutely the good question, Greta. So what we see as a challenge, definitely, I think we described and we touched it many times this session here, is that because in the end there's the customers in the center of our activities, and this is there for the customer, as I said. So I think people asking yourself at the moment, of course, if I not already drive an EV car, which one I should drive? How I can store my car? How I can drive my car really sustainable? What is about with my heating system? Based on the actual energy prices, we have seen the crisis last year. Should I change my heating system now, or should I change it next year or in 2 years? And at the end, really, in how to say it, have in mind always to say we would like to have really the customer in the center of our activity, that the customer, for him, it needs to be nice and easy. It needs really to enjoy sun like it is. So we love at SMAs, we say, I love the sun, simply due to the fact to say we should enjoy it, and it should really nice and easy for the customer to experience sun, and not to say that it's, I think it's an easy solution also to go for an installation, go for finding information, and not like it has been in the past. And there's if I have a third party wall box and it doesn't work. I think this is all about to say, you can bring all the different devices from different brands together so that the customer is in the center. And I think this is at the end, it's all about, because if we can achieve this goal, then it's for all the companies will be a success. And I think it was also just that I repeat what all the other colleagues here said in that round. We really believe in strong partnerships. Yeah? So this is the only way how we can tackle this. And yeah, I think that's my final statement.
Thanks, Daniel. Jannik, what are your thoughts on this?
I think looking forward, the biggest challenge is actually going to be to manage the energy transition in a way that keeps the grid stable. And Michael mentioned this, our current energy system is built around centralized power plants, and we have to rebuild it completely from scratch, basically. And you can see this already in countries like the Netherlands, where you have a lot of renewable generation from wind and solar, that network operators are actually pushing back on new interconnections of solar systems, because they just can't handle the imbalance. So I think the biggest thing we need to manage in the future is what we call new solar. So get away from those silos, get away from just devices and assets operating like in their own little world, and make that transition towards consumption that follows production. So again, use power when it is available and where is it available, right? And yes, absolutely, Michael, you're right. This is, if you look at a country like Germany and just see that it only has one price zone on the energy market, it's ridiculous. So there's lots of regulatory changes to come. There's lots of new technology to come, and there's great solutions for the customer to be built.
Thanks, Jannik. Very inspiring words there. Michael, what's your take?
Yeah, I like the quote which says predictions are difficult, especially when it's about the future. I think the key point is we need to be prepared, and maybe we do not need to predict the future, we need to make the future. So we all know what is required to act sustainably, and just like Jannik said, it's a tremendous effort which is needed to really twist around the energy system, and the energy area or the energy industry cannot do it alone. We have to work together for this, and I think it's maybe not a prediction, but we pretty good know where we want to go. And now it's about working together among the industries, but also including regulators and politicians to create the right frameworks so we can realize it.
Thanks, Michael. And Ralf?
Yeah, I guess my answer is a combination what you three were saying. I think old school solar is very technical. It's when you go to fairs like Intersolar 2 years ago, it's an ocean of seamlessness. It's all about a non-customer language, and I think we want to make an impact. So we want to democratize those solar experiences, and we want to bring it to the mass market, and that can only work if you make them consumerish. If you take all those pain points away and have system solutions which work together in a very affordable way, which are future-proof and which work through different brands and partnerships. So that's very much my vision for the future. So my vision of what I would call probably like 1.5, what you guys are saying, new solar, right? So make it way more consumerish and drive democratization of great experiences for the end customer, but also for the installer. Make it easy to install.
Absolutely. Well, a lot of things to tackle there, but I think a lot of general positivity to it, that we're going in the right direction. So that brings us to the end of the session. Thank you so much for all of your input. Really interesting discussion. Thank you for taking the time to chat with us today, and I hope the viewers enjoyed the session. Thank you all and have a great day.